Hello everyone, welcome to SQL. My name is Dinesh Priyankara, Microsoft MVP and IT consultant. Let's continue the conversation. So I have already added a video on this topic, that is the part 1, techniques, methods we can use for extracting stats related to the merge operation. So what is the merge operations? When you have tables in your big data environment or warehouse or in some other databases, we can simply use the merge operation or the merge command for updating the table, right? Let's say you have a table like customer and you have to continuously update this customer table with the source. So what you do is basically extract the data from the source table and then merge the source data with the destination table or our target table and then perform the operation. If records already exist, then if those have to be updated, we update, or else we insert records. Okay. In certain cases, we perform delete operations as well. So with the first video, I explained or I showed 6 methods that can be used for extracting these stats. How many records were inserted, how many records were updated. So why we use this stat? Various reasons. With my projects, I have used these stats for recording, for auditing purposes, validation, or creating reports on all these things. These stats are really important. So almost all my projects have codes for extracting these stats on merge operations, and then we record in the let's say a log system or some other application. Okay, right. So let's continue the conversation. If you want to know more about merge operation and delta table, log of the delta table and all, we discuss some of those topics as a part of first video. Okay, so the link is in the description. If you want to know more about those things, first watch the first video and then start watching the second one. All right, these are the methods we discussed with the first video, and these are the techniques available for extracting stats related to merge operation. Okay, remember there are many more techniques available. Not only these 6 approaches. I'm not going to list out all. These are the things I have tried out with my projects, or I have used with my projects. Okay, first 3, of course, we discussed with the first video. I showed you the codes as well. So the first one, reading the last version, that is all about once a merge operation is completed, you read the log of the delta table, get the last version, and then extract stats from it. Okay, this works really, this works well, no issue. But you might get wrong stats if you have the source data with no changes. Okay, if there are no changes, then merge operation is not going to be completed. Okay, so in that case, there won't be any new version in the log. But if you read the last version, what happens is it will read the version or the stat related to the previous operation. Okay, so which means you'll be getting wrong stats. So that's something you have to you should know if you're going to use the first one. But if you're 100% sure that you always get the source data when there are changes, okay, then you can use the first one. Second one, timestamp. What you do is you record this current date and time before you start the merge operation. And once the merge operation is completed, you read the log, okay, delta table log, based on the timestamp you have recorded. Okay, you simply say, okay, give me the versions in the log or the log entries higher than the timestamp you have recorded. Okay, so you will definitely get the latest, but that so you can extract stats from it, number of record inserted and number of record updated. But if you expect concurrent operations against this merge, against this delta table, there's a chance to get wrong stats. Okay, think about the situation that 2 persons perform merge operations against your delta table. Okay, depends on the start time and end time. The first person might get, or the second person might get, the version not related to their operation. This is what happens when you expect concurrent operations. All right. So if you do not expect concurrent merge operations against this, or concurrent operations against this data table, you can use the second one. Okay. Otherwise, you should not use it. Third one, also something similar to timestamp. Instead of date time, what you do is you get the last version available or recorded in the data log, and then once operation is done, once the merge operation is completed, you try to get the version higher than that. So if there is a version available, so which means the merge operation has been completed, and you extract the stats from it. Okay, but if you expect concurrent operations for this as well, you are going to experience the same issue. So second and third one, you get the accurate values. Okay, if you expect concurrent operations, then you should not use the second and third one. Right. Now, fourth, fifth, sixth, that's what we are going to discuss. And that's, I'm going to do demonstration on fourth, fifth, sixth one. Fourth one is all about, use Spark SQL merge operation or the merge command. Okay. So we'll be using merge SQL command for performing the operation. But what we're going to do is we capture the output of that merge operations and then use that output for extracting stats. This is the easiest way of extracting stats, and this works really well. I haven't seen any issues with this. This works really well with concurrent operations as well. Okay, so this is the one I have used with all my latest projects. I basically recommend you to try out this and see. Right. Fifth one, we'll be continuing with the Python code, but what we are going to do is we are going to add a tag to the transaction. Okay, something like adding a comment to the transaction. Okay, so then we can use that for searching the log. Okay, and then we can get the exact log entry, and then we can read stats. Okay. Only thing is you have to write some codes for doing all these things, but you always get the right values, right? So once you have the log entry from the data table log, you can get the stats. Okay, and this works really well with the concurrent operations as well. Okay, so if you really compare fourth and fifth one, both work really well. Only thing is fourth one is a bit easier to implement when you compare with the fifth one. Right, sixth one, this is something I have used in certain cases, but this is a bit hard that because it requires table modification or the schema modification. Okay, and you have to maintain additional columns in the destination table, but this works really well. But if this is if the delta table is sort of a big table, let's say it has billions of records, then you might see some performance issue. Okay, right. Let me take you through codes related to fourth, fifth one, and then let's start with the first one using Python-Tracked SQL. All right, if you have watched the first video, then you know about this table and you know about all four files. If not, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a table called product in my lakehouse. And this is going to be our target table or the destination. Then I have product CSV file. I have 4 files in 4 folders: day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. So let's say day 1 is the initial set. We'll be getting the initial set, and then we'll use the merge operations for updating the product table. Okay, and the second one has no changes, but it has records. Third one has some updates, and fourth one has no changes. Okay, so assume that this is based on daily schedule. First day we get the record set, second day we have the same record set with no changes. Likewise, we continue the operation. Okay, right. So let me first add the lake house to this notebook. It's the lake house. Done. And then I'm going to create the table. Let me execute this. All right, table is created. So let's go to the first notebook. Before that, let's upload a product file. So I have a folder called product in my lakehouse. I'm going to upload the first file. me click on this, and then let me go to the day one folder. This has 90 records. I'll show you all the records once it is loaded to a data frame. Right, so we have the CSV file in the product. Okay, so this is the notebook we are going to use. You can see the first code is all about reading the CSV file and getting the data loaded to a data frame. So we need to refer the lake house. Let me add the lake house to the notebook. This is the lake house. Done, right? I can see the table. Then let's execute this code. We should see 90 records. Let's see. Okay, I can see all records. If I scroll down, you can see 90 records, and you can see a column called is modified, and all records have value 1. This is something we are going to use for updating records. Okay. Now, if I go to my second cell, that is all about checking and seeing whether there are records in the product table, but we know that we just created the table, so no records, but let's execute it and see. Okay, no records. All right, so now we have the source. DF is the data frame that has the initial CSV file data. Okay, so before we start with the merge operation, now see this code. We have a variable called number of records. That's all about recording the number of records we have extracted from the CSV file. Okay, and then we have operation ID. Don't worry about the operation ID. We'll be using with the the last method. Okay, 10th one, it's all about adding this operation ID to the source data frame. So the DF will be extended. So we have to refer the source as source underscore with underscore ID. Okay, right. And then you can see I'm creating a view called source table using source with ID. Okay, so in order to use Spark SQL merge command, you need to have the destination table. That's going to be our product table, and you need to have you must make sure you have the source table as a table as well. I mean the standard table. Okay. Now our source is a CSV file. We load it to a data frame. It cannot be directly set to the merge command. Okay. So that's why we create this view. So once the view is created, that can be referred in the SQL statement. Right. Let's execute this. Done. Okay. Now we have the new data frame. Now see the merge command. Okay. You can see this is not the SQL cell. This is still a Python cell. Okay. So what we do is we use spark.sql for executing the merge command. So merge command is simply the first one is the target, and then using statement is used for setting the source, and then the condition. So the product ID equal to product ID, that's a condition. So when there are when match, which means if records are exist and is modified is equal to 1, then we do some modification, not all columns. Okay. And when not match, which means record is not exist, we perform the insert operation. So it's a simple merge operation. Okay. But what we do is we capture the output of this merge operation to metrics underscore df. Right. You can see I have used show command to see the values of it. Let's execute it and see. All right. So it has been executed. You can see, metrics data frame gives us certain stats like number of affected rows, updated rows, deleted, and inserted. So this is the first one. So we should see insert operation. That's why we see 94 number of inserted rows. So we can use this data frame for extracting these stats and then record wherever we want, right? So the last cell is all about checking and seeing whether we have records in the CSV file. That's the first if condition. Second one is checking and seeing whether metrics df has records. If it has records, then of course we get the first record and the first number of inserted rows column, and again the first record and number of updated rows column values, and then we print it. So you can see the printed statements. We clearly see number of rows inserted statement and the number is 90. So this works really well. Okay, no issue. Let's add a day 2 file now. So day 2 file, let me upload the day 2 file, overwrite, done. And then let's reload the data frame. So we are going to see same 90 records. Okay, so these records are already exist. So which means merge operation should not insert these records. And you can see is modified, has no records with one, which means there shouldn't be any updates as well. Okay, I'm not going to execute this code, but let's come to this cell and then configure the source and the view, right? All good. Now let's perform the merge operation and let's see the output of matrix underscore df. All right, so we can see the output. You can see 0 for all. So which means even though there are records, so no insert operation, that because all records already exist, and no update, that because is modified is 0 for all records. If I execute this code for getting stats, I'm getting the right stats. So which means there are no issues with this approach. Let's quickly check with the third file and the fourth file. So the third file has some update. Let me pick day 3, upload, and let's go here and reload the data frame. You can see few records with one. There are 3 records with one, which means 3 updates, and then 10 new records. You can see 91 to 100. Those are new records, right? Let's create the view, done, and then let's execute the merge operation. Let's see the output, right? We clearly see the number of updated rows as 3 and then inserted records 10. So this works really well. This is the code I have written for extracting stats, and it gives me the right stat. So last one, I can upload day 4 file. So day 4 file contains all 100 records but no updates. I should see 0 for all stats. Let's check and see. Reload in the data frame, 0 for all, and this has all 100 records now. Configure the view, done, and then let's run the merge operation. I should see 0 for everything. Yeah. So that's why I mentioned with the previous slide, this is the method I have used with my all new projects. Okay, and I haven't seen any issues with this method. So check and see. I think this is the best, and this is the right technique for extracting stat related to merge operation. Okay, let's check the next one now. All right, next one is using transaction annotation. So what we are going to do is we are going to add a tag to the transaction and then use that for reading the log file to get the last log entry for reading stats. Okay, right, let's go to the notebook. Okay, first thing we are going to do is recreate the product table. Let me execute this code for recreating the product table. Okay, table is created. Let's go to the notebook. Before that, let's reload the product CSV file. So let's go for the day 1 folder and get the initial file. Done. Right. Let's go to the notebook. Okay. So we are going to try out transaction annotation. But before that, we need to add the lake house. Let me add the reference. Select the lake house. Done. Right. So the first part is the same code. We are going to load the data, CSV data to data frame, DF data frame. Let's see, we should see same 90 records and is modified set to 1 for all records. Okay, let's see. Okay, so we see all 90 records. Everything is good. Let's go to the next code. Okay, now see the changes we have done. So we have the same variable like number of records and the operation ID, source with ID. All these lines have been seen by you with the previous notebook. But see the line number 12. We set the, we make some changes to Spark context. Okay. we add something called Spark Databricks Delta Commit Info user metadata. And that's what we are going to change. We add operation ID that has been generated with the line 8, okay, to this. So user metadata is something that can be seen with your log entry, okay, as a part of the commit info. We add operation ID as the value for user metadata. Okay. So let's run this and see. We should see the operation ID. It's a GUID. You can see it is something ended with 59E. All right. So that's all we have to do. It's all about setting this value to the context, and then we go for the merge operation. So this is not the SQL command. This is the standard Python merge operation. If you have watched the video 1, you have seen this code, and I have given a sort of a detailed explanation as well. So what we do is we check and see whether CSV file has records. That's line number 4. Okay. And if there are records, then we continue with the else part. We set the target table to the product. Okay. And then the source is source underscore with underscore ID data frame. Condition is same, and we make changes to the records if records are exist plus is modified is equal to 1. If records are not exist, then we perform the insert operation. All right. So let's execute this code. All right, so the merge operation is completed. You can see a file process is printed, which means it has gone through the else part. Table has been updated. So how do we get the stat extracted? So we are going to read the log of the data table. So data table dot history, that's the method we use. But we don't need all the versions, all the log entries available. We are going to filter it. So how do you filter it? We use user metadata property, and then we pass the operation ID we generated. So if there is a log entry for the merge operation, we should see a record. Let's see. Okay, I can see the record. You can see that's the version 1, which means version 0 is there, right? That's for the table creation. Version 1 is for the merge operation, and that matches with our operation ID. That's what we. That's why we see this record. If I scroll right, I can see user metadata column, and you can see the operation ID we generated. So record is exist. I can use the same technique for getting values like number of records inserted and number of records updated. So what I do is basically I check and see whether history data frame has records. If it has a record, then I get the record or the row loaded to commit info. Okay. And then I extract operation metrics column into operation metrics variable. So operation metrics is a JSON. This is something we have seen with the previous video as well. So this is the one. You can see it's a JSON. Okay. So that's why we use get command for getting those values. So let's execute and see. We should see a number of rows inserted as 90 and rows updated as 0. Right? So this works really well, just like the previous one. There won't be any issues with even with concurrent operations. Let's quickly upload the second file and see whether it gives the right stat. Let me reload the data frame. I should see same 90 records. All 90 records are there. Oops. Let's generate a new operation ID, and then let's set that to the Spark context. Done. You can see new ID is 660, and let's perform the merge operation. Done. Let's see whether there are log entries in the log data table log. No entries. Why? No modified records, no new records, so no log entry. The history data frame is empty. So if I use the same code for detecting my values or seeing stats, I'm not going to see values. So which means I can simply use this method. Even there are source files with records, but no modification, no new records. This still works. All right. We can quickly check with third and fourth file as well. Nothing much to explain. Third one that has some updates and inserts. So let's get the data frame loaded. I can see new records, modified records, and new records. Let's set the context, new operation ID, and then perform the merge operation. Completed. Let's check the log. There is a new entry. So that's why we see the new version number 2. So I can extract stats from that. I'm seeing the right stat. New 10 records, 3 updates. Okay. The last test on that. Day 4 file, 100 records, but no updates, no new records. You can see is modified 0 for all the records and 100 records. Set the new context and then the merge operation. There shouldn't be any entry in the log table. Let's see. No entries, right? And this gives the right stat. Okay. See, this works just like the previous one. No issue. My only worry is in terms of the codes, even though I said you have to write some codes, yes, but nothing much. But see, we search the log. So if there are a large number of log entries, there can be a slight impact to the performance. Okay, that's the only concern I have on this method. But other than that, it works really well. Okay, right. Now let's see the last method. Last method using a marker column. So this requires some changes to the table. We are going to make a change to the destination table, and let's see how we can maintain some values in the destination table for figuring out stats like number of records inserted and number of records updated. Let's see the notebook. Okay, since we have to make some changes to table, I'm going to use a new script for recreating the table. As you see, there's a new column called operation mode. Okay, that's what I'm going to add to this table. So let's recreate the table with this new column. I have to add the lake house first. Let me get this one added. Done, and I'm going to execute this code for getting my table created with the new column. All right, table is created. So we have an additional column. I'm going to load the product CSV data to the data frame. But before that, let's go and upload the day 1 file again. Day 1 folder, product, and upload. All right, file is added. Now let's get the data loaded to the data frame. All right, so we have the first 90 records. You can see it's modified, is set to 1 for all 90 records. You have already seen this record set. See, the next one, that's the same code you have seen with the previous one. Number of records variable is set with the df.count, and then we generate the operation ID. And operation ID is getting added to the data frame. So data frame, new data frame name is source underscore with underscore ID. So let's execute the code. Done. We have the operation ID printed as well. Okay. Now see the merge code. Okay. Not much differences. We have the same condition. So product ID equal to product ID, and for updates we check is modified column, and then we update the same number of records. But you can see for the operation mode column, we insert U for updates, we insert I for inserts. Okay, right? That's the only difference between this code and the code we had with the previous notebook. Right, let me execute this to perform the merge operation. Done. And this is how I'm going to check or this is how I'm going to extract these stats, right? See, we have the delta table. That is what we use as the destination or the target. I'm calling to df to convert that to a data frame. So my target underscore df is a data frame now. which is related to, or which is loaded from my destination table. And then I use filter method for filtering for operation ID. For insert, I filter operation mode with I. For updates, I filter operation mode with U. Okay. So let me execute this and see whether I get the right stats. Okay, so I see a number of rows inserted 90 and no updates. So this works really well. You are not getting any wrong stats. Even if, let's say, you expect concurrent operations as well, but still you'll be seeing the right stat. Okay. Only thing you have to consider is the table size. If you have large number of records with this table, when you try to filter it for operation ID and operation mode, it might take some time. Okay. So consider that part. Other than that, I don't see any issues with this. But if you do not like to make changes to your table specifically for this operation, then again, this is not the right method for you. Okay. But anyway, let's quickly check with other three files. Let me go to the day 2, get the product, upload, and let's get the data flow. Let's get the data frame loaded again. Right, I can see all 90 records, no modification. Let's set the operation ID to the data frame, and let's perform the merge operation. Done. And let's see whether we get some records. Okay, no values. So this works really well. We can check with updates. So let's go to day 3 folder, upload the product file, reload the data frame. You can see modified records and new records. So let's add the operation ID. Done. And then let's perform the merge operation. Let's query the product table and see whether we can extract stats. Yes, we can see number of records 10 and updates 3. Okay, so this works well. Day 4 file. Reload the data frame. All 100 records with no modification. And then update the source or the data frame with operation ID. Then perform the merge operation. And then finally, we try to get the stats. No values for inserts and updates. Okay. See, this works really well, but consider the number of records you have, because what you're going to do is you use the filter method for filtering the destination table, which means your product table, for getting those values. So if you feel like a table is not that big and you can use that for extracting these stats, then no issue, you can use this method. Okay, all approaches have been discussed, and you have seen the codes as well. And if you want to try out all these methods, go to the GitHub repository mentioned in the description. Then you can get all the notebook codes related to all 6 approaches. Okay, right. So where you have to use this method and what is the best method. What sort of output you get from each and every method. Everything has been discussed and shown. So pick the right one and continue with your Fabric data table merge operation. That's all from my end. If you have more details on this, if you have tried out something else, and if you know that there's a better method than all these mentioned methods, please mention all these things as a comment. Okay, that will be useful for me and useful for others as well. All right. So that's all from my end. Thanks for watching.